Hello there, I'm Colonel Failure, and this is Cities Skylines. Last time around, we had a plague which affected most of the city and wiped a heck of a lot of it out. What's going on? Alright, let's pause to fix this before these people all leave town. I'm pretty sure I've got enough water in the system. Let's have a look. What have we got? Water going availability loads. Now, it could be that this is ground pollution causing the problem. I don't think that's going to be the case. See, I'm sure there is more information to be gleaned from these pipes than I'm currently getting. Ah, see, look, here we go. Blue is clearly the good stuff. Right? Because when we get over here, the blue turns brown. So there is not enough clean water getting into these guys. Oh, that's interesting. How am I going to deal with that? Well, let's... Yeah, in the build so far, I really haven't paid any attention to anything important. You know, anything notable in terms of how we get a decent city layout, how we make things actually look nice. It's been purely, you know, my goal has purely been to come up with a functioning city, and you know, you could argue that right now it's more of a dysfunctioning city, but you wouldn't be wrong. Let's see if these two water towers made any difference at all. What do you mean you haven't got power? You've got power. Yeah, so it's been purely a case of trying to make a city that gets the job done, right? That gets people moving in, that builds me up a nice amount of money so that I can just build as I wish to. Normally, I would pay a great deal. You know, I'm pretty anal retentive when it comes to making things look good. But you know, if you've been following the series so far, I haven't been doing that in the slightest. I've just been kind of bashing things up to try and get it moving. Now, last time around we had a massive plague that just caused a whole load of trouble for the city. We effectively halved our population, and it took me a little while to fix it. But now it has fixed, and we've rebounded from the 65,000 population we had before to pushing 90,000. In fact, we're going to break through 90,000 very soon. You know, that's going to bring about, you know, more traffic problems. I mean, look at it. It's a monster of a woeful situation going on here. Have I got traffic lights on there? Is that why that's happening? Certainly looks like it. Let's see where this bus goes. Yeah, so here's the long-term plan, right? Is I'm going to continue expanding the city, but in the future areas I expand into, we're going to build in such a way that it doesn't... No, there's no traffic lights on there. Interesting. Maybe I should put some on. Traffic lights on there? The original said that there was... Interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a badly designed junction, as is so often the case. Yeah, so the kind of the long-term plan, now that I've got, you know, plenty of money coming in, is that future areas are going to be built slightly more aesthetically pleasing, I think is probably the way to go. Now, while you were away and while the population was building itself back up again, there we go, 90,000 people in the city. I expanded these two kind of freeway sections. So one coming out through this new area, which is still pretty much undeveloped. We kind of bashed up a new section here, and obviously that's turning itself into, you know, woeful traffic as well. But I haven't finished explaining that. But we've got the freeway kind of intersecting over here in a pretty hideous fashion, and I could buy the last two plots of land here and turn this into one that isn't quite so bad. And the challenge is going to be whether, in doing so, how are we doing? Keeping half an eye on making sure that we've got that going. The question is going to be, can I build this new section of city without it having to be too close to the old one? So what I'm going to try and do is build a new section that has actually got the right aesthetics to it, and then nuke the lot over here and rebuild it in a much happier style. Okay, what have we got left to buy here? Well, we can have these two. I'm going to do it. Yeah, let's start down here. We've got connections to our kind of main area already, and we'll properly zone it up, and we'll name things and all that good stuff. Let's buy a few more. Nope, I can only buy one more at the moment. Oh well, that. If I'd have known that in advance, it possibly wouldn't have been that one. Okay, right. So fundamentals. We spoke before about the nature of road connections, and how you have the kind of the main arteries, these highways that traffic flows across, which then should link off to smaller arteries. So in this case, let's say a bit of happy 6-lane, right, where you can build alongside. Still carries a heavy amount of traffic, but it does so on a kind of a more localized basis. And then you go all the way down to these little residential streets here where traffic is lighter still. And if you're trying to funnel too much traffic down the wrong size piece of infrastructure, you're going to come unstuck. Okay, right, good. All right, first things first, let's have a look at the landscape. Now, we've got this hill going on there, which is entertaining. Right, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this area. I need a little tool just to show you what I'm thinking. What have I got that would suffice as a little tool? If I were to go like, no, it's not going to help, is it? Ah, there we go. Look, perfect. Right, so think about this area. This is where our new kind of city layout is going to be, and it's not going to be quite as densely packed as the old one, and it is going to have proper transportation and all services adequately provisioned. Whether that ends up looking like a grid, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so. I'll probably go for, given the game's friendliness towards circular pathing, I'll probably do something somewhat circular. So first things first, trains. Yeah, I'm going with trains first. Not metro, no, actual real live trains. I'm going to build a commuter route, or a kind of a localized commuter route that operates in a circle around here. I'd love to have these two as well to do it properly. So maybe for the time being, I'll operate on a kind of semicircular fashion. And obviously trains go against roads. So the first thing to build is a bit of road. And I think we'll build our first station. I want to build kind of 4 stations, a northeast, southwest sort of approach. So let's put that in there. Now this is not something that is going to complete itself quickly. It's going to take a bit of time to get this right. But that's why we're building this new section anyway, is we want to get it right. Okay, he's going to be unhappy about road, but, them's the breaks, my friend. Okay, now, and this is, this is not me, once again, exercising my, building train track fixation. But, this is part of the, how do you solve a problem that revolves around too much traffic? Well, you reduce the traffic. Alright, now, if I had any sense, I would be measuring that, wouldn't I? So we want to make this, fairly glamorous. It's going to be self-contained, and the routes will... Let's use a bit of road for measuring purposes so that I can get... let's go there. Okay, so we'll use road as a measuring stick. There we go. Right, so then we can delete most of that. Why have I done that? Because that's allowed me to measure exactly how far out I'm taking this curve, so that I can replicate the curve pretty closely when we do the other end as well. So then we measure up to the end of the road as we just made it. And then we'll take it until it's pretty much a right angle. Are you talking pretty much a right angle, my friend, or are you talking actually a right angle? Okay, what size are we looking at there? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, cool. So then we'll do the same thing at the other end. It's going to take it quite close to the coast, but maybe, you know, maybe we island hop once we get down there. You know, we're not quite at the position yet where we can adequately. I'm going to reduce the length of this a little. Not quite at the point where we can entirely to there. No, one less. There we are. That's where I had it. Come on, finish your thought, man. Finish your thought. I'm not at the point yet where I can complete the entire circle because I need to buy a little bit more land in order to do so. Right, and then right angle it. Right there, that makes me just about happy. But what I can do is I can run point to point for the time being. So I can run a 3-point service between these stations that I'm going to build shortly. So then switch back to straight track. We'll go out as far as... Yeah, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? So if we're going in a straight line up here, I mean, we could, you know, you could take a glorious bridge over there, but there's not an awful lot of land. I quite like this. So this map, for those who are tuning in for a first time, this is the Black Woods. And I really quite like it. I like its... to be honest, I possibly could have chosen an easier one for my first build. But as it turns out, I quite like the kind of the island nature of the city that we've got going on. Okay, so that's, you know, that's kind of half the size that I want. So maybe if I were to rock it out and then follow the coast a little, so maybe just cut the edge off it and then build the other station up here. Sounds good to me. Let's see what we've got now. If I can zoom correctly, the clouds are going to get in the way of me being able to see what I'm doing. But I now want to kind of replicate the corner that we've got at the other end. I should use road, shouldn't I, to measure it? I don't think we're quite close enough to where I want to be. Let's go as far as there. So we'll build 3/4 of the loop now. I'll put a station around here, and then I'll put a station around here, and another one there. And then once I've been able to buy this section, assuming I can buy it, you know, we're possibly pushing the limits of how big the city will allow me to go. And about there. So this is going to go right up against the edge of my current territory. Right, curvy track. Now, the cool thing about rail is you can build little self-contained sections. You don't need that. Should about do it. I'm doing this by eye. If I was going to do it, you know, absolutely properly, I'd use road again to measure it out. And why use road? Because you get the grid that goes with it, and that allows you to. In fact, I'll just show you quickly. See the lines? Right. You count the same number of lines, you've got the same distance. So it's effectively a nice cheap ruler that you can use. You don't get all your money back when you delete the road again, but you do get some of it back. Okay, then we'll bash that up there. It's not running parallel. Come on, run. Run parallel. Parallel for me, man. There you go. That's about right. Okay, so that just leaves us to... I mean, I could build kind of a nice kind of lazy curve that sort of follows the coastline there. All right. Well, no. Let's put proper curves in where we can put proper curves in. We'll guesstimate that. I missed having the grid there to get the right angle as close as possible. And what you want to do, I mean, you want to make sure that you keep your kind of track movement as gentle as possible. You know, for those of you following my my Train Fever series, you know, you want to make sure you don't bleed off too much speed. Like that. By having ridiculous curves. No, that sucks. And people who build track in the real world, so the chaps who spend their time plotting out the routes that trains will take, will avoid cruddy pieces of design like that. If I just connect that up directly, what does it look like? No, you see, it looks like that's too sharp an angle. I'd like to gentle that just a touch, if it's all right with you. Of course, not having the bulldozer constantly selected would probably help. How's that looking? Again, not how I'd like it. So yes, what you should expect to see as we work on this this new section is far less of a "that will do" attitude and more of a "nope, let's do it again until we got it right." Okay, so we've got an unnecessary curve there. I could almost do that straight now. It's a shame because it's quite pretty. Cutting a path through the woods as it is. There we go. That's got it. All right, smashing. So let's now put in the rest of the stations. And, you know, it's going to be a while before this this new area pays for itself at all. So I'm going to have to be just a little bit careful when it comes to when it comes to keeping an eye on the budget. And I do want to have a look over. See, look, people are complaining about water. What I was about to say is I need to keep an eye on the other side. I'm going to ramp the water budget right the way up, and hopefully that'll stop them complaining about it constantly. Clearly what's showing up on water, actually, while I'm on the subject, is it's having a tough time reaching more remote areas. Because all my water supply is coming from this little bay area here, so we've got a couple over there which aren't on the power. Why are you not on the power? Oh, you're close enough. Alright, if I zone that, then we should be able to... let's put some... no, it is zoned. But we've got shop demand at the moment, so let's de-zone that. And zone it for some commercial. And that should suffice in getting that connected to the grid. There we go. Good. Alright, that's a bit more water coming in. And given that I was paying for those pumps anyway. Yeah, so, you know, I think that there's an issue with, as far as water having to travel too fast. So this, we've got a couple of pumps there, a couple there, a whole stack of pumps in this bit. And I think they're having difficulty reaching their customers over here. Not least of all because it's flowing through this kind of high pollution-y section. Sorry, I was emptying that. 43% full. Okay, all right. Meanwhile, back on the train loop, let's get the remaining stations in, because those stations are going to dictate how we proceed. Okay, right. Let's delete this section of track, if that's straight, and then let's replace that with a bit of road. This is a tip I've picked up from another channel. I'm pretty sure it was Auriga City. If you don't follow him already, he builds some really splendid stuff. But this is how you get your stations to line up correctly. So obviously the station wants to snap to a piece of road. And so getting that to lay out correctly, you kind of think, yeah, but I want to, merge it onto the rail prop. So you build your station next to the piece of road, and that piece of road is actually a piece of track. So then, once you've got that in place, grab your road tool again, and just extend out from those rail edges a little, because that will show you where you need to put your road. And then your measuring is done. So we can get rid of all of those, stick the road in, go back to your station, which will now happily fit on your track. So if in the past you've always been, well, I've certainly done it, put your station in first and then built the track to kind of work with it. That's a thing of the past. There you go. See? Perfect. Station in place. Wonderful. Alright, so that's 2. And this is going to be a passenger line, obviously enough. We'll also run a goods line on here as well. But the goods line is quite obviously going to need an external connection. So I'm going to need to think through exactly how that's going to kind of manifest itself. Right, same deal over here. Take the existing track out. Replace it with a bit of road. Get your station. And, this is not a cheap way to do it, but it's cheaper than trial and error, because you will get it right first time, effectively. Give me the bulldozer, thank you. Road in. Station up. Ah, yeah, you see, I was a bit worried about that. Okay, so when I built this piece of track, I had difficulty in getting it to go properly parallel. You were here. You saw me do that. What have we got going on? Get rid of that. Give me the bulldozer back. Let's get rid of this bit and get rid of that bit. And probably, I want to get rid of that bit just yet. So the way to make sure that you can actually build there properly, yeah, okay, that end bit is the problem. Is to make sure that the housing grid remains properly flush. So if I pull this out in any of these directions, anywhere that it snaps to, it will be happy to put the grid in properly. But if I put it in between snap points, then you'll end up with an uneven grid, and we've got problems with the grid here anyway. So I'm probably going to need to just tweak the track a little to make this fit. Yeah, you see, that's not perfect, is it? But, take it out a little bit, and a gentle curve should go relatively unnoticed. It'll look like it's virtually straight. Same deal at this end. So yeah, to kind of round out what I'm working on. No, that's not good enough. What I'm going to be working on in this section of the city is it's going to look good, you know. So expect decorations, expect me not to just. We happy with that? Yeah. Yeah. Expect me not to just batter stuff in the hope of it all just working out. We're about to hit 100,000 people. So then we've got one more station to put in, and we've got our commuter loop set up. And we're then going to want to integrate this commuter loop with buses and other such transportation delights. Will you build straight there? Yeah, you will. Just about. Now this is on that bit of curve that I spent ages monkeying around with. So maybe here is... No, that's the best place. Alright, well, get it done. That's the fella. So basically, when you put that bit of road in, you're saying, that's where I want my station to live. Thank you very much, my friend. And then you put a bit of road at the other end here so that you know exactly where you need to build your real road. Yes, I could probably get rid of the warning tip from that, but given how free and easy I tend to roll with the bulldozer, it's probably advisable to leave that in place. All right, cool. So that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this time. What are we going to do next? So next we're going to continue laying out the infrastructure for this this section of the city, and that means getting the road network done. I haven't quite decided what that's going to look like yet. We could go for a central circle and then kind of radiate out from that, given this kind of imperfect square around the outside, which is more imperfect than I'd intended. In fact, given the placement of this one, I might move it out and around there. We'll see. Anyway, I've got to bring the freeway in and around in a glorious fashion, so I'm probably going to bring that in so that it bisects corner to corner before potentially in the future hooking up with the other freeway over here. I think that's almost certainly what I'm going to do. So tune in next time and we'll see how that pans out. Yes, I mean, this was an episode about building a train track, but we have just passed 100,000 citizens now. You people are griping about having no sewage. And much like the... Okay, so the green line is sewage, fine. So much like the blue line previously at the other end of the city having difficulty, this one is having difficulty with the green line. Let's try hooking it onto there and see if that helps it out. There we go. Smashing. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Colonel Failure. Leave a like, subscribe if you've not done so already, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Cheerio.